Right, under the fruit of self-control, we're going to talk about discretion. Discretion. And the opposite word is indiscretion. And sometimes I don't use the exact opposite like that, but in this case, we pretty much know what it means when someone has an indiscretion. So we use that word. Here's what we define discretion of, and it kind of sounds a little bit like tact, except that it involves actions and words, while tact is more about how we use our words. Discretion, being able to avoid words, actions, and attitudes. Being able to avoid words, actions, and attitudes which could produce undesirable results. Being able to avoid words, actions, and attitudes which could produce undesirable results. I am saying that could with emphasis because sometimes we say, well, no harm done. But we had taken a risk that it could have. We could have really hurt somebody. And instead, and we shouldn't have gone forward, but we said, well, nobody got hurt. It's sometimes we have to stop because it could hurt somebody. Proverbs 5:1-2. My son, be attentive to my wisdom, incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep discretion and your lips may guard knowledge. And so we see this proverb talks about that we need wisdom and understanding in order to keep discretion. And so you can see again how these fruit of the Spirit all work together. So toward self-control. Discretion starts with wisdom and understanding. If we want more discretion, we need to get to know God better. The better we know God, the more he will give us discretion. Sometimes I say things that aren't on the cards.
All day.
I see you all looking for, where do we fill that? Otherwise, we just hand out the cards.
Don't miss us.
I want to read you a verse. I don't think I put it on your verse. I did. 1 Corinthians 10:23. It's your first one, but it's not on your other card. I didn't realize that till after the fact. But here's a verse that we don't always see because it's got lawful in it. So it's awful lawful, you know. But it's a good one to remember for this. All things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. There are times when we say, well, there was nothing wrong with me doing that or saying that. I wasn't wrong. But was it helpful? Did it build up? That's what discretion helps us recognize. Yes, I had a right to do it. Yes, it was maybe not sin in itself, but the way it resulted for the person, I shouldn't have done it. And that's because it wasn't helpful or it did not build up. We can make the excuse, I wasn't gossiping, everything I said was true. That isn't the definition of gossip, is not to say something false. It's to say something, well, this is my definition of gossip. It's saying something about another person with the purpose of making someone else think something about them. I'm trying to influence someone's opinion of someone else when I gossip. I could tell the truth, but I'm using that truth to get them to think what I think they should think about that person. And that's not good. So just true or not, it may be lawful, but is it helpful? Does it build up? My mom used to say, we don't have to say or do something just because. Here's some reasons we can make, they're not on your paper, but there's times we say, I can do this. It's okay to do it. And here's our excuses. Like I said, it's true. I mean, I know it's hard to hear, but it's true, but we didn't have to say it. That's where we need discretion. We don't have to just because it is. You don't have to do everything that comes up. We don't have to say or do something just because it's clever or funny. even for some of us who have a sense of humor. And there are so many times we take discretion to say, boy, I have 6 funny things to say about what they just said. And it's hard to do that when you're a funny person, I've heard. Not just lawful, remember, helpful, building up. We don't have to say or do something just because it came to our mind. That's really what discretion's about. Finding out I can think that and not say it. I don't have to say it just because I thought of it. We don't have to say or do something just because we know it. I have this information no one else has, so I need to share it. Not necessarily. It might be lawful, but not helpful and not building up. We don't have to say or do something just because we have a right to. Well, you know that? Did you know that just because you have a right to say something doesn't mean you have to? You just decided you're not that fond of discretion after all, maybe, huh? My mom used to say what you mean and mean what you say, and don't say anything mean. It's pretty good rule of thumb, isn't it? You should say what you mean and mean what you say, but don't say anything mean. We also sometimes hear this. If this is how you're starting your sentence, maybe you should reverse it and take it back. If your sentence starts with this, I really shouldn't say this, but that's a really good stop sign. Reverse, never mind. And if you're the person then listening, it's a harder step to go back, right? Because you really want to know what they were going to say. Let's just be honest. But maybe we can be that good friend and godly woman who says, when they say, I really shouldn't say this, and we interrupt and say, so don't.
Yeah.
I want to hear it, but I'm telling you, neither one of us need to talk about it right now. If you have to start your sentence with, I really shouldn't say this. Is that interesting? That is a really good stopping place. You know that thing, I've said this before, you know that thing that keeps you from saying everything that comes to your mind? Some people don't have that. That thing is discretion. That thing is discretion. It's being able to avoid saying it, to be able to avoid doing it, or even having the attitude about it. Being able to avoid, that's discretion. There are some areas, several areas we need discretion. Just so you know, I'm not just talking about words, although words are high there. High on the list. In fact, the first thing, what we say. We need discretion about what we say. We need discretion about what we talk about in general. Not just every word we say, but sometimes the topic itself. We need discretion to say, no, I don't think I'll bring that topic in here. We don't need to go there. We need discretion about what we wear, women. What we wear. Now, I'm not just, but I'm also referring to, I'm not just saying what's appropriate as far as the event. I went up to someone, had invited us to a milestone event in their lives. And I said, how dressy is this event? And she immediately said, semi-formal. I went, okay. If she's ready that quick with the answer, that's important to her. And so afterwards, if I hadn't asked that, I might have been too casual. Because you never know. And so, yes, that's some discretion, but I'm saying there are some things that are indiscreet for us to ever wear. Well, it was in the store. Women, we need to be discreet. We need to be modest in our apparel. We need to be careful. I'm not even putting lines on it. I'm just saying we need to think about it. And remember, everything might be lawful, but it's not necessarily helpful or to build up. What's that other saying people use? Just because Just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should. Yeah. So we need discretion about where we go, even where we go for our own spiritual well-being. Where do we go? We used to sing a little kid song, be careful little feet where you go. Be careful little feet where you go, for the Father up above is looking down in love. So be careful little feet where you go. Where we go is important. I don't just mean where we don't go, but where we do go. There's times when we may not have gone somewhere where we should have. I've heard of people having great temptation and they said, well, why were you in that situation? Well, I was supposed to go to this church meeting or to this class or to this, and I just didn't want to go. And while I was not at that class I should have been at, this happened and this temptation came. And I shouldn't have even been there because I had a place. So where we go one way or another, Mom?
Came to me, Dick had asked her to sing on Christmas Eve, and she said she would, but she came to me about 2 weeks before, and she said, "Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, like, I got a Christian dress." No, and she said, "Well, it covers this, well, and it's the longest dress I've ever worn." Non-Christian looks at you maybe.
So we do need to have discretion about what we wear and where we go and what we wear where we go. We need to have discretion about how we appear, whether that appearance is a physical fixing our hair to putting something on correctly or appropriately, or whether it's just the attitude on our face that comes across. We need discretion in all these areas. We need discretion about when we speak. Not just what we say, but when we speak at all. So you can see, if I just start naming those areas, you just are going through your head. We need discretion in a lot of areas. So let's look at some guidelines for practicing discretion. Number 1, ask this question. Would Jesus say or do this? Would Jesus say this, what you're about to say? I doubt, I'm pretty sure Jesus never said, I really shouldn't say this, but. And so these things, would Jesus say this? Would Jesus do this? That's something we can do. Psalm 19:14 is, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Wait a minute.
You know that song?
That's a song. Let the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart give you glory, glory, glory. Pastor wrote it. You are my rock. It's right there. And my redeemer. And that's what it's based on. Let our words and our thoughts be pleasing to him. Would Jesus say or do this? Number 2, remember to think before speaking. Really? Engage brain before engaging mouth. Proverbs 15:28, the heart of the righteous ponders how to answer. New thought. The heart of the righteous ponders what to speak or what to answer, how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things. Wow, Proverbs are really down to earth true, aren't they? Number 3, consider others worth being thoughtful. Worth is your word. Consider others worth being thoughtful. You see, the reason sometimes we're not thoughtful or we don't ponder our answers is because we don't think this situation they'll be all right. They're not worth my extra effort. The issue is in our heart because they are worth it. Listen to what it says in Philippians 2:3. The word was worth. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Now you say, well, what about our poor self-esteem? I don't believe this verse is about that. Let the Lord work that out. This is what the Lord's telling us. We like to put all our psychology and make sure what the Bible says lines up with what our therapist said. No. This is the truth. Consider others more significant than ourselves. That means it's worth it. They are worth me being thoughtful. Number 4, seek to be at peace with and build up others. Seek to be at peace with and build up others. Romans 14:19. So then let us pursue what makes for peace and for mutual upbuilding. Mutual, both ways. We're supposed to pursue what makes for peace. We're not supposed to just sit back and let it happen. I didn't mess it up. Pursue it. Chase it. Desire peace with people. And for mutual upbuilding. Pursue what helps both of us being built up. That's a good reminder. That's a great reminder to be sure our close relationships, we are giving and they are giving. We're both mutually building one another up. That's a strong friendship. Number 5, look beyond our own wants and desires. Look beyond our own wants and desires. Philippians 2:4, right? The next verse after the one we just read above there. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. You can see how that would help your discretion. When you're thinking about what matters to them, how does this affect them? That gives us discretion. Number 6, here's another reminder. Check what our face or body are, quote, saying.
Our face.
Discretion helps us keep our face and our body language, our facial expressions and our body language. We're aware of what it's saying. Your words don't always line up with your facial expressions. You know, we always think of the bad ones, but there's even when you're trying to help someone or they have something exciting to tell you. Oh, that's great. That's great. You see how my face and nothing said it was great, but my words, and they know that. But I think the Lord wants us to be aware that we are speaking with our whole self. What we are speaks so loud that the world can't hear what we say. That's a song. I know I was trying not to do it. And Karen's over there going, that's a song. What you are, speaks so loud that the world can't hear what you say. They're looking at your walk, not listening to your talk. They're judging by your actions every day. Don't believe you've deceived by claiming what you've never had. They'll accept what they see and know you to be. They'll judge by your life alone. That's something like that. Can't believe we have that good a memory to all of a sudden remember that song. What we are, our expression, our facial expression, our body language expresses something, overrides our words. It will just override it. We need discretion to check that. What am I looking like I feel? What am I saying? With your young people, your children, your grandchildren, they want a response and they know. You may have said, that's great, good job, but if you didn't express it, they didn't feel it. You have a 3-year-old. They don't even understand your words. They're only listening to your attitude. Some of you know it from a dog. If you say their name with a different, well, you know, my aunt and uncle, Auntie Esther, they had a dog named Mac. And if Mac did something wrong, they would say, "What's this, Mac?" And he would just crawl to his, all they said was, "What's this, Mac?" It's the attitude that comes through. Proverbs 10:10. Whoever winks the eye causes trouble, and a babbling fool will come to ruin. This is like winking the eye, like, oh yeah, I believe you. Yeah, I did that. Watch our body language and facial expressions. Number 7, think of the consequences of our words and actions. Think of the consequences of our words and actions, both now and later. Now and later. Here's what that means. Sometimes the person will seem fine when you say that right now, but later it will break their heart. Am I right? When they're alone and they realize somebody said that, and it's devastating. And at the moment you see, oh, it didn't bother them, but it did. Think beyond that moment and think of the consequences. Galatians 6:7, that should say Galatians, there's no Galatian. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that he also reap. I was trying to get through, but I'm already a few minutes past. I really shouldn't say this, so we'll stop there.